Again, just slow down the breath. Spread the fingers, spiral biceps towards each other, send the hips up towards the ceiling. If you're feeling a little bit tight, take a really slow walk in dog. So almost press down through one heel, the other knee bends, and just take a moment. And then again, you can go to the other side. So just almost a couple of breaths in each one. I think sometimes we can rush through some of this, and actually we can gain more if we just slow down a little bit on some of the stretches. Notice if your hips tilt as you bend into one knee, and then see if you can kind of square the hips so they don't tilt, so you can really feel those stretches at the backs of the legs. Aiming for the chest to go towards the thighs. So as you get that stretch on the backs of the shoulders, sometimes you need to bend your knees to feel that stretch in there. A couple more breaths. Then just bring that down onto all fours, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. 3 deep breaths. Here we're going to go in neutral spine into those 4 corners. So think about widening the rib cage. Send the breath right towards the shoulders, the collarbones. You can't really belly breathe because I want you to pull in on TVA. So just breathing into the chest here, the rib cage. Really think about stretching all those muscles there around the rib cage. Just one more. Then as we exhale, lift opposite arm, opposite leg. Eye gaze to the front of the mat. Just work with an extension and then bring that back down. So really simple exhale, lift, squeezing in the glutes, and then bring it back down. So I'm not going to complicate this one too much today, but I want you to have a big focus on the neutral spine. So keeping the hips still so I'm not tilting the pelvis and arching in the lower back. Take your time, breathe out, work into a full extension, leg level with hips, arm level with shoulders. Really thinking about length, so really reaching that leg behind you, reaching the arm in front. Keeping the crown of head in line with spine. If you want, you could add in just looking to the side and then bring that back down. So just do a little bit of work into the neck. Look across that shoulder. Recenter, see how that works with you in balance. If you're adding in the neck work, notice what happens with the back foot that's there to stabilise. So same, going back to our calf walk circuit. Is your foot turning in? Is it turning out? Is it set in the middle? Because sometimes it compensates. It maybe sometimes moves to the midline to help you with the balance. Sometimes the arch kind of crumbles. If you can get that straight and you can work with the balance, you could try lifting the foot up so you're on the knee. Still working into the same extension. Each time you take your in-breath, as you reset, you're expanding right to the corners, the rib cage. Two more. So release up with a low lunge, so step forward with one foot, stay hip width. Allow the pelvis just to sink down for a moment. Then tuck in pelvic floor and TVA. And just here, just take palms over the head. So if you can press the palms together over the head and like an arrow, just point the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Keep working at pressing the palms together. A couple of long, deep breaths here. Then release, and we'll go to the other side. Same thing, hip width. Check your feet aren't turning out. And interestingly, what's happening with the back foot, again, is it wiggling over to the midline? What's that doing for you? So see if you can line that one up. Then get your sink down and pull in pelvic floor, pull in on that TVA. Take the arms up, palms together, and just press them together. And then like an arrow there, just start to point up towards the ceiling. Slow down the breath. Send the inhale right through to the rib cage, really widen the rib cage. Just one more breath. Then we release, and we're going to come back down onto our fronts for a slow swan dive. So bring it down, cactus the arms, elbows level with your shoulders, hands level with elbows, forehead down, find pelvic floor and draw in, breathing out, lift head and shoulders, keep the eye gaze down, and then breathing in lower, breathing out left, and breathing in lower. Just trying to keep the feet relaxed. You can sort of pigeon the toes towards each other. That helps to relax the hips. Keep the connection here with pelvic floor. So see if you can now go really light with your arms so that you're not pushing down with your arms to get high. Then you can always add in lifting up the arms. Really taking your time, breathing out to left and breathing into lower. Option there, breathe out left, breathing in and then breathing out, reaching forwards. Try not to sink down as you do that. Then come back to the cactus and lower. 3 more, whichever one you're working on. Really thinking here about the spine doing the job, the lifting, not the neck. Try and keep the head, the neck still. Should be your last one. Into that left. That extension. And bring it down. Rest the head on your hands. And we're going to go to glute activation again. So squeeze one of the glutes and then just extend and lift that leg. And then bring it back down. So it's a nice straight leg, a bit like front crawl leg kick here. Squeeze in the glute, point the toes, and then extend and lift. It doesn't have to be super high actually to get this activation work done. So it's more of an effort towards. So if you can get the glute to squeeze, the hamstring to engage, and then the lower back on the other side will stabilize. The hips stay still. Try and find that pelvic floor and pull in that TVA with this one too. And because you're concentrating and like kind of squeezing certain muscles, just notice if you're holding the breath. See if you can breathe out as you lift. Breathing into lower. Just 3 more. And last one. So we're going to release those two with a cat stretch. So we're on all fours, chin into chest, tuck the pelvis under, pull the tummy muscles in. Couple of breaths here, and you can really think about sending the breath right to the shoulders, towards the collarbones. And I think we did this a couple of weeks ago. Just take a little spiral over the hands, the shoulders. It's a little bit wet with the wrists here. So a big circle, not so much with you're finding with the hips, but think about the shoulders doing the circle here. So you can almost stay in the cat position. 3 one way and then take it 3 back the other way. Really finding some stretch there. Probably between the neck and the shoulders. And then just turning it so that your fingers are facing your knees for a quick wrist stretch. So turning that around. I've been transcribing lately, so my fingers and my wrists are getting quite tired. So do a lot of typing. So just a moment there. And transcribing people from Scotland. Then just shaking this out. So from there we'll go to our front plank. So elbows under shoulders. Pelvic floor in TVA and lifting up the hips for that hover. Big squeeze, particularly TVA. Then options, so we're going to straighten one leg and then straighten the other leg. Hips still. It's almost like a quad set, so you're kind of pushing the back of the knee up towards the ceiling. You feel like your quad activates. That's the front of the leg. So just a couple of these with the hip super still. Shoulders down away from ears, or if you have got your hips still and you want to take the knee drops down. So that would be the other way around. And that's a little bit harder work there for the core and the TVA. So we'll go 8, 7, 6, crown of head in line with spine. 5, keep breathing. 4, 3, 2, and last 1, and then release it down. 10 seconds rest. And then we'll build it up a little bit. It's really interesting actually transcribing because you really notice what word fillers people use. So it's really funny because they pop up a lot. I don't know what I use. Perhaps you can tell me at the end. Some people say, you know. That was one of them that came up. So, and again, pelvic floor and TVA, lift up the hips. This one, lift up to the high plank, lower down. So it's the upper body, shoulder stabilization move, but also work with the core, so pelvic floor TVA in. We're going for about 8. See if you can switch over each time. My filler actually is probably breathe. Or exhale, which can't be a bad one really. 2 more. And releasing down. The last one we're going to do, we're going to go to high plank and we're going to add in like a chest stretch, and I'll give you an option actually to do with your knees down if you want to. So pelvic floor in, TVA, and lifting up the hips to your hover. Check you're not arching in the lower back. Lift up to your high planks. So option there, chest stretch lift. Bring it down and switch it over. Allow your hips to move a little bit with that. Don't be locked out in the hips. Other option here, now this is a little bit more advanced. Take your weights. High plank. And then lift. Bring it down, and then lift. Obviously you can do that high plank version without the weights. So there's always 3 levels in here. Each time, reset in the middle. So pull in the core, step back towards your heels. Tuck the pelvis under. So we're not arching in lower back. Don't forget to breathe out as you lift into that chest stretch. 4 more. And 2. Last one. Bring it down. We're going to release with a child's pose, so sit back towards your heels, or if that's not comfortable for your knees or ankles, maybe just find a puppy dog. If you're puppy dog, palms together and just send that like an arrow forwards. Otherwise, sit back towards your heels, find your child's pose, perhaps a little wiggle side to side, drop the elbows to the sides of the mat, forehead down. And just slowing down the breath. Use your yogic breath here, so really work with the breath. As you breathe in, down the tailbone, send it all the way up the spine towards the third eye. Three more breaths. So from there we're going to go to our sides and we're going to go to the clam. Let's take a check on the time. So bend the knees. Heels in line with hips, in line with shoulders. It's going to be lift the top knee and lower. But I want you to be so you're almost falling onto your front, and then all you do really is just turn it so that the shoulder is directly over the other shoulder. But you've still got that feeling you're going to lean over, like the hips are still tilting over quite a bit. So then we get right into that glute med right at the back. Otherwise we're going to find hip flexor and sort of groin. But I'd prefer to work with glute med because it helps us with squats, it helps us with walking, running, stabilising the knee. So feeling that there. Take a check, we're still pulling in pelvic floor and TVA. Breathe out, lift, breathe in, lower. Couple more, should be feeling that in there now. Good for breaststroke also, that one. If you're swimming, Mary said he's swimming after this. It's a good one for breaststroke. Glute med is very important in breaststroke. Double leg lift then, so straighten out the legs, and I've taken my weight straight in. I'm going to put that on the side of the leg. Lift top leg, and actually I'm working because I'm having to lift that weight slightly. And lift bottom leg. I'm going to keep the feet slightly separate to work my balance. Lift rib cage, so I'm right on the wobble. Then see if I can lift the arm up and then the arm down. So a lateral raise whilst in that hovered position, pulling in the core. And lower. If you've got that, legs lifted, rib cage lifted, you're stabilised, you could work a pulse. Like a flutter kick, swordfish kick on your side. Oh, that makes me wobble. Just taking the feet, literally just almost brushing them if they were touching, not like a massive kick. It's very small. Shoulders down away from ears, just 2 more. Arm left and lower. 1 more. Oh, it's very tricky on balance for me, this one today. And release, lowering down. Then elbow underneath the shoulder. We're going to side plank, so lifting up the hips. Option knee bent. Arm up. thread through for a twist. So again, working with the chest muscles here. Added option, thread through, leg lift star, thread through, and then your leg lift star, and then obviously the final option would be leg straight, thread through, option star. 4 more. Breathing out if you can as you thread through, breathing in as you star. Last one. And then release all that down. We're going to do the same ones on the other side. So clam to find the glute med. Double leg lift to find the length. And then the side plank to work your strength. Again, just get it so you're almost kind of falling onto your front. Then just get the shoulders stacked on top of each other. Lift the knee lower. I always put my hand on my hip, actually push down to make it harder. You can put bands into here. Notice what the feet are doing. So we did all that kind of work earlier on our calf walk circuit just to keep an eye on feet, what was happening, like when they go in, what happens to the hips. So again, look at the feet. Is there a little bit of tension in there? Are the arches really crumbling around each other? If so, can we find a bit of tension, almost like as if we were in squat mode? And we were thinking feet parallel and arches engaged. Feeling that there with the glute med round the back, the side of the bum. Check you're pulling in pelvic floor and TVA. Quite a nice stretch to the neck, this one too. Then release, we go to the double leg stretch. I've got a plant here, that's okay, I'll keep working with it. Arm down by your side, lift that top leg, so you're working with that weight, lift the bottom leg, don't touch the feet, rib cage, so we've got some balance going on. Then work with your arm lift and lower. Keep thinking pelvic floor, keep thinking TVA. Breathing in as you lift, breathing out as you lower. If you can work this balance and you're happy with this, then you could do your little flutter kick. Literally just sliding feet beside each other, but they're not touching. Again, keep pulling, keep coming back to pelvic floor and TVA. Breathing out as you lift, extend, breathing in to lower. Three more. I could blame the plant, couldn't I, when I wobble? That's fun. Then set yourself up for your side plank. So whether you did elbow into shoulder and then you did the bent knee with the legs straight, thread through into your star. Whether you like the straight leg version, same thing, threading through, up into the star. Notice if the chest is crumbling, kind of, so when you come around, stay strong, use your core, and then when you extend, you're thinking about opening with the chest, breathing into those four corners of the torso, breathing in. 3 more. 2, 1 more. Try and keep that head in line with the spine. Then releasing down, bring the hips down. Come onto your backs in. And we'll focus a little bit more on abdominals, see what time it is. 10 minutes. I may go over a little bit, Mary. I'll try and tell you when it's 8 o'clock. So, neutral spine length there at the back of the neck. You can always grab a cushion if your chin starts to lift, just place that underneath the head. We'll go straight into our 5 sets, 4 toe taps, 8 seconds pulsing, and then an 8-second hold. If you know your progressions, you want to take them, just go straight in. First, just find pelvic floor, find TVA, imprint the lower back down, ready. 4 toe taps, 4 and 3. Try and keep the hips still. 2 and 1. Lift the arms, the shoulders, pulse. Pull in the core, keep the tummy still. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slide hands to knees, hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1. Release. Here we go then. 4 toe taps. 4, 3, right ankles behind the knees. 2, and then 1. Lift and pulse. Imprint. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straightening legs, reaching towards the knees. Breathing out. See if you can find a bit of a 75% imprint here with the TVA. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. 4 toe taps. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hover. Pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming up to your teasers. Hold. Lift up the chest. Take the shoulders back. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Here we go. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ready to pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready to rise. Hold. 8, 7, 6. Keep breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Last time. 4, 3, 2, 1. And pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rise and hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And release. Take a full body stretch. Take a big squeeze on everything. So scrunch up fists, squeeze glutes. Lift your shoulders up to your ears, point the toes, pull the tummies in, scrunch up your face. Big deep breath in. Breathing out, just let everything go. So turn the feet out, let the hips relax, cactus out the arms. We're going to bend knees. Come back to finding your imprint, and we're just going to take hold of one knee, squeezing it towards the chest. And then return it back down, go to the other side. Take hold of the knee, squeeze towards the chest. Doesn't need to touch, just effort towards, and then release. Other side. Now see if you can do this and keep the hips square. Don't tilt in the hips or zigzag in the spine or wiggle in the lower back. So stabilize here with the core, the hips. Adding in, heel slide away as you squeeze with the other leg. Heel slide back in, and then over to the other side. Heel slide away with the hips still. Try not to wiggle, there will be some wiggling. And you're going to use that core, the lower back, just to try and keep everything still as you lengthen. Option then is straighten the leg out and hamstring stretch. At the top, then you could bend and then bring it all the way back in, other side. If it feels too much with the legs straight, see if you can work a hamstring stretch and then bring it back down to the other side. So it's like working with the new shoes move that we've done before. So it's looking at your new shoes, hamstring stretch, and then bring it back down. I just kind of played with the idea with a heel slide in there if you felt like it. If you're a little bit tight, you might just want to do a couple more times with a hamstring stretch. Or if you feel really tight, just hold one hamstring stretch for a little bit longer. So there's a few little options there. If you're nice and loose in your hamstrings, just work through keeping your hips still. And a few heel slides. If you're tight, and you might just feel like you need to stretch. Adding in, we can just lift the upper body for a chest lift. Lift head and shoulders, look towards the knee. And you can stay lifted with that. So you feel like your chest is lifted, you're using your rectus abdominis rib cage just going down towards the hips. Then optional, we can take this into scissors. So you can lift and hover, then switch, lift and hover. Now just see if you can keep still in the hips, because the hips will again will want to wiggle. So again, you need to engage with the core, you need to imprint lower back down. But you should find some nice, good little bit of length here in the hamstrings through this. You can work with pointed toes. 3 more. Breathing out. So release, hug the knees into the chest. Then breathing out, double leg stretch, extend both legs, place the palms down by your sides, and then again squeeze, placing them down, squeeze, extend. Now if you want a little bit more, it's a squeeze, and then it's a shoulder stand, so it's a lift up. Bring it down. Double leg stretch, squeeze, shoulder stand, lowering down, double leg stretch. Now you can just take the squeeze out, into the lift, into the double leg stretch. So again, just a few different options there. You might just be working with that squeeze to double leg stretch, imprinting lower back down, or you might be working through your shoulder stands to your double leg stretch. 3 more. Ideally keep the control, because sometimes we come down from a shoulder stand, we can come down quite quick. So just keeping that control, vertebrae by vertebrae, as you come down. Last one. Then we're going to release. I think I moved a bit on my mat then. Release with the arms out to the sides, breathing out, let both knees drop across. You can either look in the other direction or looking up and just work into this chest stretch, lower back release. And then you can breathe in, recenter, over to the other side. If you need, I often find I just shift my hips across with this move, so don't feel like you have to be stuck, like stuck in a muddy pool. Just shift, lift up your hips and shift. Think about it as a lower back release, finding length there in the lower back, and a chest stretch. If you're still feeling that your hamstrings are tight, and we did scissors, you could tabletop that and then extend out to your corners, just to work with hamstrings, IT bands. So again, a little bit of an option in there. We're just going to do 3 more. So breathing out if you're extending, or just working with your stretch. Then bring the feet down, then we're going to shoulder bridge. I'm going to put weights into this, so have them ready if you want to bring them in. Bring your heels a bit closer, knees, feet hip width apart. Work with a pelvic tilt. Starting to feel like you've got everything there, engaging pelvic floor, TVA, squeezing. Squeeze the glutes, lifting up to your shoulder stand, bring your arms over. Now you've got the option, if you want, to bring in your weights. So it's going to be both arms extend over the body, touch the floor behind you, and then lifting back up. Depending on how heavy your weights are, just go steady. If you want more, extend one leg. Lift. And then bringing back up. And you're just trying to stay super still, squeezing in that glute as you work in these lifts. Option here, you could take the weights all the way down and all the way up. Mine are quite heavy, so I don't think I'm going to do that one today. So up to you. If you're happy and you're feeling strong, work with the weights all the way through. But as long as you've got those hips still and you're squeezing into those glutes. Ready to swap legs on about 4 repetitions. Keep squeezing in those glutes. Hips are still not tilting. 2 more. And last one. Gently lower yourself down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Take hold of one weight, we did it last week. Hug this towards your chest, chin into chest, and see if you can bring yourself up to a seated position. And then again, all the way down, vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way up, chin into chest, extending up. Almost thinking about that C shape there in the spine. Thinking, getting that chin tucked in. If you want, you could add in. We can lengthen out the legs at the top. Chin into chest, roll yourself up. Teasers. And then bring yourself down. Chin into chest. Get all the way up to the top, lift at the chest, take the shoulders back, then bring in a teaser if you feel like it. And then come down. Feel like your feet want to lift. You can always go with the one leg teaser as well, which is quite interesting, because you can just get a little bit of a hamstring stretch. 2 more. Slow roll downs. Teasers if you feel like you've got them. Release from that though with a roll down. So again, you can put your weights in or you can do one without. Hold on to the shins, hover, roll back, opening out, then come back, hover. So again, you can put the teasers into that. Sometimes it helps. You can teaser and then you can roll back. Hamstring stretch. And then work with your teasers. A couple more. It should feel like it's a nice stretch for the hamstrings, but also a good core engagement move. Just building on what we did in the slowly. Okay, let's have a finish. I know that Mario's gonna go. Bye Mario. Safe swimming. We're just gonna spine twist, so that's all you're missing. So legs crossed, find a block or a cushion. In fact, I'm gonna sit on a cushion today. I've got a squirrel one. Palms together, and let's work at pressing palms together. So put a little bit of pressure in there. Breathe in, get tall. Find length at the back of the neck, and then just breathing out. Take your spine twist, nice and slow. And then again, centering. Breathing in, and breathing out round. So, because you can see yourself on your screen, notice if one shoulder dips or anything like that. So have a little look. I know I have one shoulder that dips, that's why I said that, because breathing, get tall, breathing out. See if you can kind of notice or if you've got any imbalance there. So feel it on those long strands either side of the spine. And if you've got an imbalance, this is what I do. I try and, the bottoms of my elbows, the points, I think about them being super level. Just 2 more. Finish with a little stretch, the soles of the feet together. Butterfly stretch, and you can flex the feet. Big deep breath in, and you can lift up the chest, take the shoulders back. Breathing out round the back, and then looking down, chin into chest. And you can either flow through that or kind of just sit with the rounded back, holding the stretch. So up to you how you feel. Should feel kind of inner thigh stretch. If you're working through with the breath and you're working with the spine, you should feel the stretch there. Palms together. Namaste. Have a nice week.
Thanks, Kate. Have a good couple of